What up? Your phone sideways or your screen?
Ah, shit.
There you go.
All right, let's go. Trying to get this right.
Yo, what is up? Good morning.
What's good, Tank?
Where are you at? What time is it?
I'm in Alabama, man. It's 7 o'clock.
What part of Alabama?
Selma.
So, do you know where Butler, Alabama is? It's south of Birmingham.
Yep. I'm south of Birmingham, like right west of Montgomery.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's where my dad and everybody's from. So, it's called Choctaw County.
Yep.
So,
Yep. That's what's up, man. That's probably like 60 miles from where I'm at.
no shit.
Yeah.
I Hey, we'll talk offline about some.
Right.
I guarantee you know some people that have been around a while. So, hey, thank you for coming on. Real quick, I got 3 speed questions. I'll let you do an introduction. You haven't seen these questions, right?
Nah, not even a little bit.
It's about to be fire, I'm telling you. Hey, does pineapple belong on pizza?
If you like it on pizza, like shit. Whatever floats your boat, bro.
There you go. Hey, uh,
Shit.
this one's for Hill. Hey, I need what you would consider an amazing first date idea.
Oh, amazing first date.
Yes.
Amazing. Now, are we trying to go for a second date, or we just want to amaze the first one? Are we? Are we?
I'm about to fall off the jungle in the first 2 minutes. Yes. We,
We
you're
going for
trying
a
to go.
second?
You're trying to go for a second date.
Oh, second date. Then that means we just go somewhere that she enjoys. Somewhere we can talk. Anywhere that we can actually talk and have a conversation, and so I can learn more about her.
Wow. Uh,
Yeah, I know.
Hill said GTFOH. Hey. Uh,
I got
let's
some
see.
questions for you, Tank.
Uh-oh. Hey, your favorite moonshine flavor?
Oh, oh. All right, so I had a dude up north make me some like I think it was like apple cinnamon or something like that.
Okay.
Oh man, it was so good. It had like a inch layer of just cinnamon at the bottom of it.
Ooh.
Oh, it was amazing. So yeah, that's
Oh,
probably my favorite Creek water flavor.
nice. Yeah, for folks that don't know what we're talking about, what did you just call it?
Creek water.
Creek water.
Yeah. Little
Hey,
moonshine.
give yourself an introduction, bro.
Uh, Andre Carmichael been training dogs for I don't know 10+ years. Uh, deal mostly with pets and sport training dogs. Have worked with personal protection, law enforcement as well. Um, but for the most part, I just like having fun with dogs and helping people get better as far as communicating with their dog and actually have an animal that they can reasonably enjoy versus just howl.
I saw a quote, or I've seen you post a lot that, in fact, in your Instagram, one of the key words in your bio is it's not the dog, it's you. Come explain to me what that means.
Um, from my viewpoint, we're taking the animal and asking them to try to configure their viewpoint and how they respond to stimulation to how we want them to be. So if that's the case, our main focus should always be trying to communicate the best way we can to the animal. Right. So if the dog is doing something that you don't want him to do, he's not responding the way in which you think he should, it truly always goes back to a lack of communication on the human's part to reinforce and to reward those behaviors and those interactions that they deem appropriate. So if you're having a hard time with your dog, you need to fix the communication, and that's up
Gotcha.
to you to do it.
So, with the American Protection and Patrol Dog Association, APPDA, what's your roles?
As far as the decoys, as far as
Yeah,
the trainers,
roles and responsibilities.
um, first and foremost, I feel like anyone who gets in front of a dog to take bites, if you will, your first and foremost responsibility is to that animal to try to, remain safe and to not put them in a situation where they're at a more disadvantage than they already are. All right. And within APPDA, it's an organization that is truly, I wouldn't necessarily, well, it's a family-based organization, right? We all truly deeply care about one another, about the progress of the members' dogs, about the communication and the bond that's built. Um, but our main job is simply just to try to expose handlers and dogs to pressures and expose them in a way in which they can continue on with building upon pressure. So yeah, we're there just to facilitate handlers getting to a certain point and building better communication with their dogs.
Now, you actually you own a title or a role inside of that, correct?
I got a little something in there. I got a
No,
little.
stop being so humble. Tell me what it is.
I mean, I'm a regional decoy director,
Okay.
right? So my role is to try to help set the standard as far as the performance that the decoys within the organization almost essentially set the standard, like I said. So my role is to interact with decoys and trainers and clubs across the U.S. currently, traveling around, just touching bases with people who want to further their knowledge as far as what they should do when they get in front of a dog to help better that dog and that team.
Now, when we are traveling and you are that director, you're the most senior um, decoy on the field. From a junior decoy perspective, i.e., myself, what does that feedback look like, or what's the role there once we're done off the field? I mean, obviously you're giving feedback, you're helping. What does that look like?
That feedback is based in, again, is go back to what does the other decoy actually want. So I'm there to help facilitate whatever it is you need as far as questions, as far as your performance, as far as what you could have done better, as far as were you able to read that dog in that situation and respond accordingly, and just going over that with people, because another set of eyes is always great when you're working an animal. There are things in which people from afar can see that you can't see. So as you know, every scenario that was done, after the scenario, there was feedback given to the decoys about what they did, what they didn't do, what they could have done better, what was great about it. So in that role, my job is strictly to try to be another set of eyes to, again, keep that standard at a certain level so that every event, every scenario, every decoy understands the amount of pressure, the amount of exposure that they should give to each dog, to each handler to remain proficient.
Gotcha. Now, either there's a ghost in your car or you're smoking, because I see something coming across this.
Oh
There
yeah,
he
man,
is.
it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and this kind of my medicine. So I mean,
Hey, what kind of interview would this be without you smoking?
it wouldn't be, because I wouldn't be on
Oh my god. um, why do you think certifying as an APPDA decoy is physically and mentally demanding?
because of Ty and James. Fucking Mr. Clean brothers are exhausting. Um, no, I think it's just the standard that's being set for it being a new organization, and the fact that we kind of uh bring in people and groups and decoys from all uh genres and viewpoints when it comes to working dogs. Right? So everybody has this standardization of what they feel categorizes a dog as a working dog and what that looks like. So within APPDA, we kind of just bring an umbrella term when it comes to the exposure, when it comes to uh, the control, when it comes to just the scenario that the dog are placed in, it can be slightly different, and the level, especially in the beginning, can be high for some people that aren't used to an actual challenge with their dog that actually forces you to actually think about what you're doing and how you do it, and not necessarily just go through the motion with things. Um, so as a decoy within the organization, it can be stressful, like I said, physically and mentally, because there's a high level of expectation, and because it's a new organization, we're trying to build that standard and build that reputation of being top echelon, of being explosive, safe, dynamic decoys.
Very nice. Ty and James are definitely not handing out participation trophies. That's for sure.
No, we don't do that around here, man.
Um, what? How important is control?
In
So, just from any aspect of a dog beginning to do bite work or the top level, how important is control to begin with?
uh, I guess it's hard to answer when you like. A lot of times people say control, they mean almost like turn their dog into a robot, right? That means that when I say City does every time and the heel is always perfect, for me, especially in the beginning, control from the viewpoint of having built that bond up to the point where the dog wants to do whatever it is you ask him to do. If you can build that bond up early, then the control isn't truly control as much as it is suggestion, because the dog is driven to do it anyway. He wants to be driven to do something for you, so you don't necessarily have to control it as much as mold it and direct him in the right way. So when I see someone like my boy Jared, right? Like the way in which he gets down with his dog, like his first and foremost thing was building that bond. And that bond equals his dog looking like he can just control him and do what he wants to with him, you know? But the first and foremost, the communication was built, bond was built, and in turn, you see the level of control that's had over the dog.
Gotcha. When you're working with or if you're selecting a pup, what's the number one thing you're looking for in puppies?
Uh, I like a puppy that's confident.
Okay.
First and foremost, nerve has to be good, able to deal with new stressors, new things without being enticed from a drive state of point or drive point. Um, but also a dog who actually wants to engage with me, who wants to play with me, wants to do something with me, doesn't just want to possess and go off by himself or just do his own thing. I want a dog that actually enjoys being around me, being around people, and interacting and doing something with them.
When do you remember the first time you were ever put in a suit or got into a suit?
Yep, like it was yesterday.
What
uh,
what did that look like? Walk us through it.
all right, so my first introduction into like bite work was through a guy named Billy who worked extensively with different police departments in Georgia, as well as um, I learned under one of the first shits and helpers and the guy who started the first police academy in Georgia, Mark Leamer. Um, so I was just a young guy, had a backyard bred Presa Canario that I bought from somebody, paid a few $100s for, and I want to do bite work. So I show up to a club and I'm just, mad, excited, enthused, and they like, go put that suit on if you want to. And I hopped in it, and it was like the most terrifying 3 minutes I've had in my life waiting for that dog to come up. And the first time he bit me, it was butterflies, it was nerve wracking, it was trying to control my face, trying to control my stomach, and just the fun of trying to control that it had me hooked. And I've been doing it ever since.
You know, honestly, when I talk to people, because they'll jump in when we run a training class, people want to take a bite, and we'll line things up and safely put them in a suit and let them take a bite. And I tell them, like, listen, you're going to know in the first 5 seconds if you love it or hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you love it, it will almost truly feel orgasmic.
Yeah.
It's just it's a different level.
Yeah.
Right? So, so Mark Leamer.
Right.
One of very knowledgeable, awesome guys. I got the opportunity to sit down with him in Georgia a year ago and pick his brain and just listen to him to tell stories and
Yeah.
the details that he gives in his stories when he tells them. It makes you feel like you're there. What was it like to work under him, or to just be around him?
First and foremost, he's a very he has his way of doing things. He likes what he likes. It is what it is with it, right? So first meeting Mark was real cool. I had never seen a Dutch Shepherd before in my life. I never knew understood the concept of like scent work, right? So seeing that from his perspective and the ease in which he was able to do certain things with dogs made me go home and be like, we gotta talk. You know what I'm saying? So like me and my dog went on the right level, so it like kind of forced me to like trying to understand and better myself to kind of like show something to him when I came back out again. But he was definitely one of the guys who kind of just instilled in me that like kind of that patience of just letting the dog be a dog, kind of bonding with the dog, letting the dog tell you who he is, and then you kind of go from there. Not rushing it, not pushing it. He kind of funny too.
If you could change one thing about the canine community as a whole, whether it be sport dog, law enforcement, as a whole, what would that one thing be that you change?
I would get rid of rescues.
Ooh, okay.
Um,
Talk on it.
like I'm all for like, you know, I hate the premise that somehow because you bought a dog secondhand that you rescued it. Right? Like you just bought a dog that somebody else didn't want. Right? So I think like that whole notion of like this money machine that's built behind this feeling that people get from buying dogs secondhand versus say buying from reputable breeders or say like doing due diligence in the beginning to ensure that they're getting the right type of dog for themselves. I would just change the standard for that. So yeah, that would be my thing.
Woo. Yo, why is it harder for people to adopt a dog than it is to adopt a child?
Listen, man, like because again, people associate because again, that's another thing within the dog world. People associate themselves with their dog a lot, right? There's like this tangible connection that shouldn't necessarily be there, right? Your dog should be his own entity with his own identity. He shouldn't be tied to you, right? So like with that, that gives a lot of people like some level of control or power to be able to say, well, you don't have a fence, you can't have a dog from me, or you know what I'm saying, or you're going to train not purely positive, so you can't have a dog from me. So yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's like, I'm in Virginia and I'm 30 minutes from DC, and one of the largest lab rescues on the East Coast is in DC, and they'll put more labs down a year than letting us train them on an e-collar for free to help them.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
what?
Yeah. But again, it goes back to where we, at our rescue, we don't do
Yep.
regardless of if it'll help the dog or not. You know what I mean? So,
As they're playing Sarah McLachlan in the background in their videos. You know what I mean?
And the dog and a lot and you get the viewpoint that somehow dogs are like every dog in the rescue was like hung up by his toes and sprayed with a water hose for 7 minutes each day. It's like some of them people just ain't want them no more. Like
Right?
like just give them a better home. Keep it moving.
Hey, the shortest man in the room just entered.
Oh man,
What up, Dez?
young giant.
Let's see. So tell me about the smallest dog you've ever worked and the largest dog you've ever worked.
All right, probably the smallest dog I ever worked was like this small little cocker spaniel named Halo. He really was not stable. Like he should have been put down. Like he had no problem biting people, like whatsoever.
How old was he?
I knew the dog since he had been a puppy, but by the time I got hold of him and started doing some work with him, he was like 3.
Mm.
And like I don't know what they had been doing with him, but he was a terror. Like will bite children, bite anybody who like sucking up to him a little bit. Oh, he was tagging you. He was gonna get you real good. And it wasn't a nip. It was like a hold and shake while he looked you in the face.
Ooh.
Yeah, that motherfucker used to bite. You know what I'm saying? So that was probably the smallest joint I worked with. He took a while because he went right in the head and he had a shitload of like just reinforcement. So yeah. And then the largest probably I'm working with this huge Central Asian Shepherd right now.
For bite work or just in general? Obedience.
She wants to do bite work with him, but he not that type of dog at this point. So we just kind of just playing around with him, getting him cool with a lot of different things. So, but yeah, he like I can straddle him. Like he fucking huge.
Yeah, the Central Asian Shepherds, the Caucasian Shepherds, the what are the Ovechkins or whatever?
Yeah.
So big
I haven't
gnarly
worked one
ass
of those
dogs.
before. Those are pretty big. I worked a Kangal and I've done. It was an Anatolian mix. He was pretty big.
So where do you like to where's the percentage? Let's break it into a percentage or a pie, if you will. What
Right.
percentage prey versus defense do you like to work?
Do I like to work?
Yeah. Or do you have a preference of one higher than the other?
Nah. I like any dog that somebody pay me to work. So you pay me to work and I love that dog, right? But as far shit, what you mean? But as far as like the ease of work,
Yeah.
yeah, a dog that's in prey is a whole lot easier to work because you know what he gonna do. You know what it is with him. A defensive dog, you don't know what the fuck is gonna make him do what. So that's a little bit more of a. You gotta read him more. You gotta be ready more. You gotta set up your safety net a whole lot better. So it's just different.
Now, for defensive dogs, do you like to work them high and elevated on the table, or you keeping them on the ground, or where are you primarily starting?
I'm starting everybody on the ground,
Okay.
back tied, and we kind of go from there. And again, it's kind of based on what the dog needs. Some dogs put them up on the table isn't good for them because it kicks them up too high. For me, if I'm already in front of a dog that's already defensive, I don't want to kick him up even higher. I want to kind of bring him down and pray him out a little bit so we can kind of have a conversation and learn to dance versus him just trying to knock my head off every time I get close.
Right. What dog around the country would you say would have the best switch to be able to turn it off and on?
Dog with the best switch?
Yeah.
I probably Slick,
Okay.
because I've seen this dog go to like that place where the only thing that exists is him trying to bite something, and then I've seen that same dog do bite work one day, hardcore bite work, ran the iron wheel, and then that very night we come out and he chilling sitting in somebody's lap. Like it's dark, we by a fire and shit, and like, you know, it's shadows, people moving, like, and he just like, cool, I'm sitting in your lap now. So yeah,
I think
yeah,
I've seen pictures of him riding with his head on Hill's shoulder.
yeah. He was scared that day though.
I bet he was.
He was scared that day.
He probably had some Hershey Kisses in them
Yeah,
drawers.
little drops.
Hey, during the quarantine lockdown, what do you think generally a lot of people learned most about their dogs being with them for that long?
Nothing.
Oh, yeah?
Nothing. I don't think most people like change their routine that much with their dogs. They just around them more. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think people took this time and was like, we're gonna build a better bond. Like, nah, they just had to feed the motherfucker more, walk him more. That's all.
Put them outside the backyard more.
Yeah, that's all. Like, I don't think people took this time, because again, I don't think most people take the time out to really like get to know their dog, or because again, most people, they bring their dog to me, they want to meet this is one time this week or this twice this week. That should be good enough, right? It's like, no, you got to go home and do shit with him. Like, what the fuck? No. But but again, they feel like if I come to a trainer, I should be able to this, and then that should be that.
Right.
It's like, no, you gotta practice. You know, you gotta continually practice. You gotta reinforce these behaviors on a regular. But again, most people don't set that standard for themselves. They don't set that level of communication for themselves. So when that dog does bullshit, it's their fucking fault.
Speaking of that, as a trainer, setting expectations, how do you manage your clients? I mean, have you been to the point where you fired them for not doing their part?
Nah. My job is to do what I do when I'm in front of them and give them the tools and the framework and the structure for them to do what they need to do as a continuation. If they don't do it, they don't do it. That just means that they're going to be around me longer. Fine.
Gotcha.
Your pace is set by you.
I think I'm stealing that one. Hey, I know you. I think it was out in Chicago. You went out and worked with Justin. You guys did a workshop seminar.
Yep.
And I know y'all had more of those planned, but with all the stuff that went on, I think they got rescheduled or whatnot. But talk to us about what someone can expect to learn or to gain from one of those workshops with you guys.
That was my first time working with Justin, and it was a great experience. So when we originally decided to connect, it was just trainers trying to, again, we met through APPDA, and we're just trying to just branch up and connect with one another. Once we started planning out the actual, I guess, program that we wanted to put together, we really wanted to try to touch on, for one, setting up decoys to be decoys, as far as understanding safety for themselves, for the dog, understanding proper equipment, not being cheap on getting equipment, being rigid and rugged on your standard for checking your equipment. Like, first and foremost, keeping themselves safe. Because I think a lot of guys, again, when they're first starting to do this, because I didn't have a suit when I first started working dogs, right? So there's a lot of guys who 6 months into this, they go buy a suit. Now, once you put that suit on, there's a certain mind frame of being invincible that happens to guys. That's not necessarily true when you don't have that equipment on. So helping these guys understand and pulling the ego down a little bit with certain exercises that kind of make them feel unsafe, but at the same time giving them the techniques to remain safe. So we just worked on just different bite placements, targeting. We worked on, again, from a side view, being that spotter for another decoy to recognize certain things, to read the dog, to give that feedback, to be that additional eyes for another decoy. And then we just kind of just, punish them a little bit. Just put them in the suit and just let dogs just chew on them for a little while. Because if you can't enjoy that, then you shouldn't be in the suit. So,
yeah, if you scream pineapple 5 seconds when the dog's on you, you're definitely not going to put in the working the dog in the suit.
You're not going to even be able to think because you're anticipating the pain. You're anticipating so. I'm not thinking about the pain. I'm thinking about the bite placement. I'm thinking about reading the dog at the right point. I'm thinking about looking at his eyes and his tails. Like, the bite is the last thing on my mind because I'm waiting for the bite.
Give me your top 3 hardest biting dogs.
There was this guy in Atlanta when I first started working dogs. He had this dog named Taz. Big ass Rottweiler named Taz. He bit hard as fuck. He was a highly defensive dog, but he had strong nerves and he would bite the shit out of you. So Taz, yeah. Clay's dog, Ossie. He used to bite hard as fuck. And probably Ty's dog, Copa.
I was looking at a picture of you with him earlier. Somebody was just saying Andre is a hell of a teacher. Where does your ability to teach and lead when you're in a suit? Where does that come from?
I think it's come from like everybody that I'm in front of or that I associate myself with. I'm learning from them. Like on some real shit. Like, no matter like who they are, how long they've been doing it, I'm trying to pull something from them. If it's what not to do or what to keep doing, and it's truly a deal when I get in front of someone and I'm working a dog or I'm working with them. I want them to be. I want to be better than me. Like, I want them to take something from him and to continue on and to like have a part of like what I said to be part of their legacy. So I'm not stingy with the knowledge. I'm not worried about somebody being able to take something from me and do it better than me. So my deal is when I'm in this suit and I feel comfortable and I know what I'm talking about when it comes to dogs, if you want to hear me talk, fuck it, I'll talk to you.
Nice. What does it mean when training?
Tank, is this the most cursing you've had on this joint?
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, okay.
Misfits is working on bringing Dre to Maryland to live the rest of his decoy life here with us. Man, if you moved to Maryland, that would be what's up.
Yo, my boy OJ down there with the Misfit, man. Listen, man, that's another dude who work I love to watch, man. He's so fucking dynamic. OJ is amazing.
OJ is one of my favorite dudes in the world.
I'm telling you, bro.
I love that guy.
Don't challenge him to no pull-up.
No, hey.
He gonna kill you.
I would not challenge him to a pull-up contest for sure. Um, but you talk about one of the coolest dudes, humble, but will talk shit when it's time because
Let's
he
go.
backs it up.
Let's
You
go.
know. But will jump in and work. He doesn't just sit back and let everybody else do
Yeah.
everything. Like, I truly love that dude. Like, he is an awesome guy. And
Facts.
I mean, all the misfit dudes, they're good. They're good people, man.
And some of them kind of fucked up.
Hey, so when training meets real life scenario or situations, we've got brothers right now up in New York. Protect my business, literally out front.
Facts.
What does that mean to see that stuff come to fruition? See it to be used, see it be practical. Talk to us about that.
I mean, first and foremost, I hope everybody's staying safe during this time. You know what I'm saying? Continuation of everybody just staying safe. But when we actually see the thought process that was placed into certain scenarios that were placed into the organization, is because of things such as this. It's because of the fact that guys within the organization have had to use their dogs in, as you would say, real life scenarios, right? But again, it just all goes back to, what is your purpose for your dog? What are you communicating to your dog? Because you can literally, some people have dogs that they just go out and have fun with, but when the time comes, that dog is that type of dog, right? But the vast majority of people, 99% of people, don't have a dog who is capable of doing certain things without the proper exposure and the proper reinforcement for certain behaviors, which is the reason why it's important, if you want to possibly use your dog in whatever venue, whether it be sport, whether it be, as people say, personal protection, real life, whether it be police scenarios, you have to train the way in which your dog is going to have to live. And again, that day may be on the trial field. He has to live like he knows what the fuck sit means, not blow it. Right? On the day when we're talking, somebody is at your home, in your garage, when you pull up, he has to live on that day like he know what the fuck parking means. You know, so if you don't train that way, your dog won't live that way on that day.
Mm. Dang. Hey, what is your favorite scenario to run in a trial? Do you have a favorite?
I wouldn't say I have a favorite, but I like the courage test. I like taking those steps towards the dog and, like, let's see if we really both on it. Right?
Nice.
Do I see you coming, and do I bitch up and, step away a little bit because I'm scared of that bite and you won right then? Or do you see me coming and we lock eyes and you decide, I'm kind of going to go for that hand? Like, I like that type of engagement, a little talk real quick.
Yeah, you say real quick, but does it feel like it's in slow motion whenever it's happening?
Sometimes. But it's like a fast slow motion, you know?
Oh God, I don't know if I want to ask you about calling women plump.
Yo, listen. Yo, check this out, right? So I'm talking to a friend. She talking about getting back to exercising. And she said that she was too thin, right? And I'm like, nah, boo, like, you plump to me, right? But I'm thinking I'm being nice. I'm thinking like it's a compliment. Like, bro, like, shit, like, listen, I'm thinking I'm being nice. I'm like, you look plump to me. She was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, what you mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? She was like, plump. I'm like, yeah, like,
And she was like, no second date for you.
Listen, this is straight up, this is a homie. This is a homie. I'm just talking to a homie. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
Oh,
plump is bad. So I literally had to get like I'm really thinking, I'm cool, like she tripping. You know what I'm saying? But I
oh
found
my.
out that women don't like being called plump because it's too close to fat. I'm learning new shit, bro. I'm learning new shit.
Oh my goodness. Hey, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years?
3 to 5. Listen, man, 3 to 5. I want to be breeding like them fucking micro pocket minis that people sell for like 10, 15,000 a piece. Right? Looking at all y'all running behind dogs and getting y'all fucking arms chewed up and insurance high as fuck. Now I want to just breed them motherfuckers. Just get money, you know? Just get money, breeding dogs.
Mm.
Now I'm fucking with you. I'm not sure, bro. I don't know.
If you had to categorize some of the biggest weaknesses that you see in trial dogs, what would they be?
I think people's inability to like truly train for like the unexpected, to train for like a complete level when it comes to the dog, when it comes to communication, versus say like kind of just, can he do this scenario this way?
Mm.
Can he accomplish this way? And it's like, yeah, but what if I tickle his balls while he's doing it? Does he keep on doing it, or does he go? Bleh? You know what I mean? Like that's all it took for him to stop. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Who's been the biggest impact on you in the dog world?
Mm. Mm. I gotta say it's a combo of two dudes that I started working with early, right? So Mr. G, Robert Garland, and
Mariah!
yeah, Cowboy. And my boy Kevin.
Man, Robert, I love watching Robert work a dog.
Right. So check this out. So that viewpoint as far as like just being kind of just that twitchy, always moving, just like the way he moves makes the dog want to bite you, right? Like just taking that viewpoint of being that instrument for the dog versus say an object. Like I really took that from him. Just like I need to
Wow.
be the main thing the dog is trying to get a hold of, because it's like just stop fucking moving or something. You know what I mean? Like I need to be that. I really pulled that from him, and then from Kevin, it's just the dude was just probably the most dynamic beast of a guy in a suit that I ever seen. Like I've seen people say, I'm not running that scenario because I'm not putting my dog through that. You know what I'm saying? Like he was the first dude who I seen that I was like, I need to have some of that. So those two dudes, as far as like the way in which I present myself in Decoy, is probably my greatest influence.
Is there someone out there that you just haven't been able to meet up with that you would want to work with?
Yeah, shitload of people, man.
Give me 3 people.
Oh shit. Uh, my boy in Canada, Michael.
Okay. With grassroots? Nesbitt?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would love to get up with my boy. Like we've linked up before. They've done like police seminars down here that we linked up and done things together, but never like truly like locked and linked up. Jeez, I don't know, bro. I know Michael. It's a few people, like, cause there's a few people I want to link up with, like, to get better with. You know what I mean? Like, cause it's things that I lack within my training. With, you know what I'm saying, as far as me being a trainer, as far as like say competitive obedience. I want to get better at that, right? Or to get better at like true e-collar work. I need to get better at that. So I just need to continue to surround myself with people who do those things, so I can connect and learn, and I can continue to grow. So I can't like really pinpoint one or two people, because it's kind of like more like people in categories or groups.
Nice.
that I want to link up with, you know?
Do you think it's important as a trainer to never stop learning?
Oh man, what are you talking about? Yeah, yeah. Because again, it's because I guess it kind of all goes back to what type of trainer you want to be, right? So if like again, so like let's say you somebody who want to focus completely on being e-collar proficient, and if you focus your entire career on learning as many techniques and as many maneuvers or whatever when it comes to using e-collar, then cool, ride that lane all the way out. You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
even mad at you. But I feel like I want to be a jack of all trades when it comes to dogs. I want to
Nice.
be able to teach them as much as I possibly can, and but also have a network around me for me to be able to say, hey, I can get you to this point, but if you're really trying to get further, this person is the person you need to connect with who can get you even further than I can.
Nice. Hey, with the quarantine crap going on, trials all over the country have been postponed, rescheduled, canceled. What do you?
Let's try that again.
All right. Sorry, I got you back. Somebody called. With everything that's been canceled, postponed, rescheduled, what do you say to the folks that were signed up, ready to go, but now they've either been postponed or they canceled? Talk to those people about either the state of readiness, continue training, don't get your hopes, don't get your feelings hurt. What's your thoughts on that?
Don't get burnt out. I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people try to do the whole crunch time when it comes to training season and trying to just load up on behaviors and whatnot to try to get ready, which is cool. But I think right now with the way things seem right now, you kind of got to really play it by ear, and it's best to maintain the level of maintenance than burn your dog out or burn yourself out to the point where neither one of you motherfuckers want to step on the trial field when it's actually time to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think maintenance and just kind of just keeping it fun. Do different things, right? Like if you rocking for a certain sport and you can do something else to not pull from where you're trying to go, try something else for a little while. It's gonna be fun for you and your dog. So when you come back to this, it's like, oh yeah, this we got this too. So I think that's fun as well.
Oh yeah. I think with and not to get too deep into it, but I think with all the shit going on in the world, I think people need to rely more on the relationship with their dogs because that builds greater relationships with different people. Because I know I could reach out to the misfits and say, "Hey guys, I'm coming through," and they would welcome me with open arms, or
Facts,
vice versa. If they ask me to come up and work some dogs, I'm there. So,
facts.
you know, what's that feeling like whenever you do get up with a group of people that truly love you and truly love what you're doing for them, but it feels more like the family setting, like you talked about with the APPDA?
Man, it's the reason why you want to continue doing what you're doing, even when you, like you say, when you see the way in which things are in the world, when you see like how fucked up things can be when we get together and it's simply just about dogs and us communicating and us trying to communicate so we can get the dogs to do certain things. You kind of, I wouldn't say you forget, but you kind of recognize the fact that it can be different and that it is different if we continue on just kind of building that communication and trying to be honest and real with each other. So when all these guys get together, it's honesty. Like, hey, your dog looking kind of skinny. Hey, you are ugly. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just facts. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. This is just truth, and you
That was
accept that and
directed
you
to
and you do
Dez.
something with it.
That was directed to Dez. I know it.
It's a few other ones. It ain't just misfits. There's a few other dog trainers ugly as fuck, and they know who they are.
That is funny. Yeah, man. I just when I go up to Maryland, I just feel like I'm at home with those guys, man. And every time I see Hill, he gives me and Michael the biggest fucking hug I've ever
Yeah,
received.
it's
It's
real.
because he appreciates me being there, and I appreciate him. Me being there with him.
Fact.
So, hey, we're getting ready to wrap up. We're coming up on an hour. Des said I ain't the bad guy here. I'm handsome. Okay.
I, listen, bro. Listen, bro. I said it now. You ain't the ugly one in the group. You done had plastic surgery and shit. I know you pretty.
Hey, hey, hit us with some parting words. Where can we find you? Where can they follow you? What you got coming up soon? If people are trying to get their dog trained, how they get a hold of you?
I got my IG right now, Carmichael Andre at Gmail. You can reach me there. Soon we're looking into trying to have a few more decoy seminars, a few more safety seminars coming up. Chicago, New York, possibly Maryland. And from there, the sky's the limit, man.
Nice. Well, listen, enjoy the rest of your day. I'm getting ready to go pick up some dogs. I love
Already.
you. I'll see you around, bro.
Love you too, bro.
All right, see
Stay
you.
safe.
Yep, you too.